Okay, so Quarto is essentially, I don't want to say new and improved, because our Markdown is still very great and fully functional, but really our Markdown, a lot of people really liked our Markdown, but you could only use it in R. So Quarto is kind of an updated version of our Markdown, but you can use it in other languages. So it acts as a standalone software, and currently you can use it in R, Python, Julia, and Observable, but they are going to keep expanding other languages you can use it with. And I will say it has a few more features than our Markdown. And it's the reason I'm showing you how to make a personal website in Quarto is because a lot of it is just the code is a lot cleaner. The file structure is a bit cleaner. And it just kind of looks nice. So this is not the only way to make a personal website or a course website, but everyone in kind of the data science world is starting to move to Quarto instead of our Markdown. So it's worth looking into and teaching you. But we'll see how similar it is to our Markdown. It's very similar. For example, this lesson that I wrote. Oh no, get out of there. I wrote it in a Quarto document. So it's .qmd instead of .rmd. When we open it, it looks almost identical to an R Markdown document. You can actually still render R Markdown documents with Quarto. There's just some slightly different stylistic things, but the visual editor still works the same. There's still the source editor, still using the same Markdown type code. But instead of using the R Markdown package to knit and render, it's using the Quarto software. So you used to have to install Quarto separately, but I think I put the R version. So since July 2022 R version, which you should all have a more updated version since that, Quarto is automatically included when you download RStudio. So you no longer, that sounded bad grammar. You no longer need to install Quarto separately. It comes with RStudio, which is cool. So, and then I have here why build a website in Quarto. We were going to teach you Blogdown, which is an R package. I put my personal site up here. I'll just put it up. I built this in Blogdown. And then just to give you an example, and I linked the code there too if you're interested. But even after doing this demo, I'm kind of like, I kind of want to move my personal site to Quarto. The file structure, like I said, is a lot cleaner. It's a lot easier to update, like different versions of Blogdown. Every time I wanted to update my website, I would have to jump some hurdles. So that's why I think Quarto is just a little cleaner in that sense, but there are a lot of other options for making websites, specifically if you want to make like a personal website. Okay, so to get started, similar to R Shiny, we're going to create a Quarto website through RStudio, so it creates all the template files and everything you need. So if you want to follow along, let's close out of that. We are going to go, what did I say? File. Oh, another note too is that Quarto websites, we'll notice in a second, but they work similar to R projects in it'll create an R project file and it'll create a new project folder that will have a template for all the files you need to make the website. So that's why we go to File, New Project, and we're going to click New Directory. There's different ways we can set this up and connect it to GitHub, which we need to publish. This seemed like the easiest way. And then we're also I'm introducing you to a new package called Use This, which is really great for working with GitHub. So we're going to go File, New Project. I don't know what I changed, but I don't want to save it. And I'll just actually create a website here. This always takes a while when I do new projects too. Just to show you in this demo, so I worked through this whole demo and I actually made a site. I made a website for my dog, Kona. I put the link at the bottom. So this is what my demo I'm going to be making. You can change other things, but I put the photo of Kona if you want to recreate this. Oh, wait. But this is the website. So this is what we will have at the end, is this personal website for Kona Dog. So I called that website demo. Oh boy, is anyone else is taking this long? Click new directory. This happens on this computer every time I'm teaching. It's very unfortunate. What did I say? You don't want to make a repo on GitHub. We'll do that next. Okay. Yep, don't worry about GitHub yet. So yeah, do new project, new directory, and then click the option that says, it should say Quarto website. And then it'll ask you to give a name. This name is very important because this will become what's called the slug or the URL of the website when you host it. So like, for example, that Kona website was website demo was the URL. But I have this blurb here. So GitHub Pages lets you use one URL that is your username.github.io. Otherwise, every GitHub Pages is that / whatever you named the repo or the website. But so maybe do a demo first and then go back. But if you want to make your own personal website, that's what this repo is going to turn into. You would name it your GitHub username. So like I would name this project CC Mothis. And then when you host through GitHub Pages, the new URL will be ccmothis.github.io. And that is the URL to your personal website. Is it working yet? Oh my, okay. So new directory. And then Quarto website. We're not making a project, but it does make in our project file. We want to click Quarto website. So this is where you would call it your GitHub username if you want that username URL. I'm going to call it, I already called something website demo. Website demo 2. And then this is going to create a new project folder. So you can, I'm just going to keep it in this DataSci 23. See, this is my previous website demo one, but you can navigate somewhere else on your computer. It doesn't matter where you put it. This is fully self-contained. So I'm just going to leave it there and then leave everything else, leave the defaults. I am going to check open in a new session just so I can leave this current one open. This might be slow again too. So what we're going to do first is host it and then edit, customize the site. Because hosting is the hardest part. Okay, while that's loading, so we have this project folder, but you're right, Natalie, it's not connected to GitHub. So I wanted to introduce you to the use this package. Has anyone used this? No? Okay. If you all should already have RStudio connected to GitHub because you've been pushing and pulling. So if you haven't, install this package. Okay, so here we're working in, now we have website demo 2 is the project we're working in. And we'll get to these files in a second, but it creates these 4 template files, which are really all you need to create a Quarto website. For Booktown, there was like folders and nested folders and so many files. this is just much cleaner. And then it creates an R project. So every time you want to work on your website, you can open it as an R project. So down in the console, I already have it installed, but to install packages, use this. And hopefully, if there's any installation errors, I might need to help you out after. But hopefully it installs well. I'll give it a few seconds for anyone following along. Okay. So these next two lines of code, what they do is we do use Git. We run this. If we run this from our project, it will connect your project to Git. So you can push and, well, can't push and pull yet, but we can commit and etc. But so it's connected to Git, but it's not yet connected remotely to GitHub. And so then the second step is use GitHub. Okay, so I am going to run this from the console because we don't need to do it again. So, oops. Oh, I actually don't have it installed on this computer. Or do I? Oh, I do. Okay. So first we do use _git. We don't have any other arguments, just that. So you can copy and paste from the lesson plan too. And it will ask you, do you want to commit all these files? Say absolutely.
So if mine doesn't say absolutely, it just says yes.
That's interesting. Say yes. That's funny.
Okay.
It just had different words.
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
No yes and no way.
Interesting. I wonder if that's like a setting, it just randomly generates words. Yeah, it's a fun package. The developers on this are cool people. I follow them on Twitter. And then it'll ask, do you want to restart? I would say yes. Or I agree. Whatever the first option is. Because then it'll restart. And so notice we don't have the Git tab up here. But now, once we restart, now we have the Git tab. So now we are connected to Git, and it already committed all of our files. But now we want this repo on GitHub, so we can publish it. And so now, the second one is use this. And the reason I am just calling the package name before is just to remind you that's what package you're using for this. And I also haven't loaded the library in yet because this is the only time we're using it. And once you have all this set up, you'll work on the website and never have to do this again. It's just a pretty slick way of getting a project connected to GitHub. Okay, so now the second one is use _GitHub. This is where I foresee potential errors happening. So if this happens, you can maybe like write down the error if you need help from me. You can still keep working on the website afterwards, so I can help you get it up and running later. Now it should open a browser window of your personal GitHub, and now you have this new repo called whatever name you gave it. And it has all of the files, and it gave it the commit message, initial commit. Did that work for everybody, I hope? Okay, cool. Pretty great package. So just also exposing you all to the different ways you can use Git and R. Okay, now we need to configure and publish with GitHub pages. So these steps should be a little similar to Bookdown, but they forget exactly what Katie did, so think of them as maybe separately for now, but they're similar. So there's 3 things we need to do before publishing. And I would do these in order. So the first one is, this is kind of like just do it and don't ask questions thing. But you need to add this file called .nojekyll. Did you do that for Bookdown? Okay. Things might still work if you don't do it, but it kind of gets rid of some default HTML web settings through GitHub pages. So I would just copy this, and the big thing is open in terminal. What Touch is doing is it creates this file, but it's a hidden file, which again, oops, I want to go back to my.
By open it in terminal, you mean like instead of putting it in your script, put it down below?
Terminal. Okay. Yep. So not in the console, do this in the terminal. You can also do it from like an external Git terminal or whatever, but you want to be in this project directory. And so I'm going to paste touch.nojekyll. And then honestly, nothing should happen. It doesn't even show up in your folder system, but it will show up in Git. But you don't have to worry about that for now. Okay, so we ran touch, nojekyll. Second, we need to edit the YAML header of our Quarto YAML document. So if we look back at these files, I think they're kind of similar to Bookdown. We still have index QMD, which controls homepage stuff that you see. We'll get to that in this later when we customize things. The Quarto YAML, which has to start with an underscore. That's why having this template set up is nice. This sets the website settings. So what we want to do is at the top of that YAML, we are adding this output dir docs. So this is similar to what you did for Bookdown. So I'm just copying it here because as you may have noticed, the placement in YAML headings and the spaces and everything is very important. So I'm going to put it directly underneath type website. So at the top of Quarto, do enter and paste. And then save. Save it so now you see that you have modified this Quarto file in Git. And now third, those two settings are set. Now we can build the site. An important thing about building, so you can edit your site locally, save it, even push those saved files to GitHub. But in order to update your website, you have to build again. And then after building, push everything. So to build our website, we have this build tab. And then you should have render website at the top. Every time you edit something and want to see the changes, you would go to build and click render website. Since this is the first time we're doing it, it might take the longest. It should pop up this doc folder. Is anyone done already? Oh. And I don't know what default it will do. I don't know if it'll pop up in a window or the viewer pane. As everyone else is popping up in the browser. Okay. Either way, it's just, this will pop up similar to Shiny, a preview of the website. So we have a website here that just has whatever template info it had, and then it'll put the name that you gave your repo here, etc. So this is actually a fully functioning website. We'll customize it later, but let's just get this up on GitHub Pages. So we have it hosted, we have a URL, and then we'll make it nicer. So we are ready to publish it, but first we need to, so the process is build and then add, commit, push everything. So you'll see in Git, these are the changed files. Whatever your normal way of adding everything, committing, and pushing is, do that. I'm going to do it in the terminal. And I say in the lesson, just to always do git add everything. Just to make sure because you need every little file it makes in the docs folder. And since we created the standalone website project, you shouldn't have extra files you don't want in there. So I'm going to do git add, period. If you get these warnings like I do, don't worry about them. And then git commit, I'll call this, I don't know, website structure, whatever you want. All right, so there's a lot of files it made in there. And then git push. This might take a while because this initial run is pushing the most files. Okay. So we are at this step here where it says, but first, push everything to GitHub. Okay, we did that. Now, go to that repo on GitHub. This should be pretty similar to what you did for Bookdown. So we're in the website repo. We're going to go to Settings, Pages. And then I have a photo in the lesson of what this should look like. So we want to specify, where are we at? Branch. It might say master, it might say main. They're the same thing. Mine says master. And then docs folder is the most important thing to check. And then once you have master, main, docs, and then click save. And then I think this is where Katie showed you under actions, you can see that it is working on building your website. Oh, in progress. Again, this will take a few minutes. Again, if you're having trouble with hosting this, we can help you out after. You can still customize your website and everything and push those changes and get it hosted after that. Okay, it's all done. And so now there's different ways you can find your site, but I just go back to settings and pages. And now under GitHub Pages, it says your site is now live with the slug that you just gave the project. Yes.
Real quick, just to rewind a bit.
Yeah.
So after you set your branch to main and docs, saved it, what did you do to kind of actually create the website?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you hit save, so that's why I went to this actions tab.
Okay.
It might not show up, but it'll show you in actions what is happening on the back end. So hopefully you should have a workflow in there.
Okay.
And then when it has, that's why I was kind of like, what's happening? It takes a minute or so. And once it's up, this should pop up. You might need to refresh the page.
Okay.
And then now you can go to the URL. Should be username, github.io, and then whatever you gave it. Sarah.
Yeah, so when you go back to GitHub Pages,
Yes.
and it says like your site is live,
Uh-huh.
and there's the three dots, and then underneath that there's a unpublished site. Does that mean that like then it wouldn't like be live anymore, and so like other people cannot access this specific?
Yep, that would take it down from GitHub Pages.
Okay. And
If-
could you republish it again afterwards?
I think so.
Okay. I know there's not many reasons to do that, but I just wanted to.
Yep. Yeah, and then right, if you just don't want this demo thing to exist, You can also always just delete the repo. Or if you want to keep like the code that you ran, etc., you can archive it. And I think when you archive a repo, the GitHub pages is unpublished. Or you can just unpublish it. Yeah. Okay, so now hopefully we're all hosted. And now we can customize the site. So, like I said in this demo, I walked through. I have some notes here about don't touch anything in the docs folder. Just don't do it. You don't have to worry about anything in the docs folder. Leave that to Quarto and GitHub. And then, like I mentioned before, if you want to push any changes to that live URL, you have to re-render the website by clicking Render Website and then push all the file changes. Because rendering the website changes what's in that docs folder, and that's what you need to push to GitHub to update the site. Okay, so customizing. First is updating we have 10 minutes left. Updating the home page, which we do in that index file. So currently in index, we only have, so this is the YAML header of the index. All we have is a title. There's a million things you can add to this index YAML header to specify what you want. And so that's what I do here. So I add all this other stuff to the YAML header. Image, this should be a local file in your website folder. So if you want to use the Kona image, you would have to, I have it, it's in the week 6 in the www folder. www is a common folder name that I think developers give, like in Shiny apps, if you have any like image content or anything, it goes in a www folder. I don't know why, it just needs that name. So it's kind of just a common naming practice. So for this demo, I'm going to copy Kona over to my website folder, which I put here, website demo 2. And you can put it in the main directory. Okay, and then what else do I add? And then adding this about kind of restructures the layout of the home page to be an about page. So this about part is important. And then you said a template. I have a link somewhere. Oh, this is more, I think this link goes to the templates you can have. Yeah, so these are the template options. So you can mess around with those. This demo is using the trestles, image shape, image width, and then links. I just made up links. Kona doesn't have a LinkedIn, but I made that up. So you could just copy and paste this and then edit it to your information. Oops. We don't want 2 titles. Like, I think you can change this. Like, if you want a round photo, you can mess around with size. So I added this. I'm going to save it. And then if you want to see it, click Render Website. And this is another example of, like, you can look up, I don't know if I have a link to it, but see other users that have made websites in Quarto and find their code base on GitHub and see, oh, I like how they, put that photo there or something. And then you can look at their index file and see how they did that. There, so there's Kona. Oh, that's kind of poor. We don't like the rounded. We want the rounded. Okay, so that's how we can update the homepage. And then I also added, so right now this is the content that was below it. I don't want that because but we see that it did like the about stuff on the left. And then this is this is a trestles layout. So those 5 different layouts will change like where the photo goes, where the content goes. You can mess around with that. But for this example, I think I put in all the text I added. Oh no. Where did it go? There it is. And then, another note too, since this is essentially an R Markdown document, any text you have, like I think I put education in hers, experience, and then I had like, I don't know, masters or something. I had masters in being cute. But you can edit this text just like you would in R Markdown. So you can bold things, italicize, make them text, add bullets. You can make that a bullet point. And then how you edit it in the visual editor using Markdown, it will look visually the same on the website. So we'll just update that. And then the second thing is you probably want more pages to your personal site. So you add a new page by creating a new Quarto document. To create a new Quarto document, again, very similar to creating, see there's the bullet point, education. So let's go to File, New File, Quarto document. And it should put it, let's just call this, I don't know, say you want a blog page. I'm going to put me, and then keep it as HTML. And hit, you should leave all the other, defaults. Create. I think. Yep, keep up with HTML. Okay, and now to include this new document in your website, you add it to the YAML. So remember, the Quarto YAML is how you're organizing and structuring the website. So, I'm going to file, save. I'm just going to call this blog. So now we have blog.qmd. If we want to add this as a tab, it will go here under navbar. And we'll just add it. So like right now we have index and home. If you have a case where you have a file, but you want the tab name to be different, you would structure it like this. href is the file name, text is what you want it to be named. Otherwise, it'll automatically just pull whatever that title you gave the document is. So if I put, I want to, yeah. Yep. Because if I do blog QMD, right? Okay. So I added it here under about, save, render, and I think it will just create a tab called blog because that was the title. It takes a while. But I think that was okay there. So now we have a tab called blog, and I think it's just empty or whatever. Yeah, so it just says title and author. This you would edit like you would a normal R Markdown document. Okay, so those are kind of two main things about customizing the home page and then adding pages. And then lastly, whenever you want to update your site, git push everything. Okay, so I'm going to git add, git commit. I'm going to say, I don't know, customize, and then push. And then after you push, give it like a minute or so, and then your URL will be updated. Because it has to push everything to GitHub, and then GitHub Pages processes it, these are all. It might be under actions. Yep. So then if you want to check if it's publishing, if you go under the actions tab, this is the one in progress. It's queued. Now it's in progress. And then it'll have the green check mark when it's done. Okay. I think that is about it. I have more down here for changing themes. This link, you can use any of the Bootstrap themes. This one uses Cosmo by default. But if you want to edit it, that's under the theme option in Quarto. So I think if you look at theme, it says Cosmo. But you can choose from any of these ones. And you can see previews of them, and then you use the whatever the name is, flatly, darkly, etc. And there's my Kona site if you want to look at how I customize. Cool. Okay. And then I also have, for both Shiny and Quarto, back on the main README of the week 6, I have a lot more links if you want to learn more or even go into more customizing. I also want to recognize, at the bottom of this, I acknowledge, I think it was this blog that I used to create this demo. It was a fabulous blog. And I'll stop.